Hello students, welcome to Educate. Today we'll be continuing with the third chapter of your class 12th NCERT history and वो third chapter था kinship, caste and class. So up until now what we have understood in this chapter is about the Vedic period. Now apart from that जो Vedic period था उसमें society कैसे रहती थी, matrilineal, patrilineal. Sometimes in Satvahana rulers, we see certain kings and their daughters using the maternal name. Apart from that, Dharma Sutra, Dharma Shastra, Ved, and a few tales of the Mahabharata just to explain कि एक kinship कैसे वर्क करता था विद इन द फैमिली, सक्सेशन कैसे होती थी, डाउरी एटसेट्रा, द रोल ऑफ वुमेन. पिछले पार्ट में हमने ये सब अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया था. सो नाउ मूविंग ऑन इन द सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ दिस थर्ड चैप्टर. सो सम ऑफ द सतवाहना रूलर्स वर पॉलीगेनस. ऑलराइट, many new terms we'll be reading now. That is, had more than one wife. Okay, an examination of the names of women who married Satvahana rulers indicates that many of them had names derived from gotras such as Gautama and Vashisht. Okay, their fathers' gotras. All right, still using the fathers' gotras. They evidently retain these names instead of adopting names derived from their husband's gotra, okay, as they were required to do according to Brahmanical rules. Now, Manusmriti, 4 types of marriage, Dharma Sutra और Dharma Shastra में बताया गया था, as explained in the previous part of this video. And apparently, जो different forms of marriages थे, first 4 were considered ideal, and the remaining 4 were looked down upon. All right. So ब्राह्मणिकल टेक्स्ट्स में गोत्र का मीनिंग क्या था, पिछले पार्ट में हमने वो भी समझाया है. कुल, आपका एक फैमिली लीनिएज को कैसे ट्रेस किया जाता है अकॉर्डिंग टू द वैदिक स्ट्रक्चर विद डायग्राम, वी हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड इन द प्रीवियस पार्ट ऑफ दिस वीडियो, जो इसका फर्स्ट पार्ट था इस चैप्टर का. ऑल राइट, दे एविडेंटली रिटेन दीज नेम्स instead of adopting names derived from their husband's gotra. ये बात क्लियर हो चुकी है. What is also apparent is that some of these women belonged to the same gotra. Now, as we have studied here, marrying as far away from the bloodline was considered ideal. All right, within cousins या within blood relations marriages नहीं करी जाती थी. जितना distant हो उतना बेटर और आइडियल कंसिडर किया जाता था. ओके, इन फैक्ट exemplified an alternative practice, that of endogamy or marriage within the kin group, which was and is prevalent amongst several communities in South India. Okay, endogamy, marrying within the household, cousins, second cousins, sometimes first cousins में भी ऐसा देखने को मिलता है. ओके, सो prevalent amongst several communities in South India. Such marriages amongst king folks such as cousins ensured a close knitted community. Okay, even today जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, एक बहुत फेमस पावरफुल एंड इन्फ्लुएंशियल फैमिली इस पूरे वर्ल्ड की, द रॉथशाइल्ड फैमिली. बैंकर्स हैं, टेक्निकली पूरे वर्ल्ड को कंट्रोल करते हैं. वो भी मैरिजेस अपने ब्लड लाइन में ही करते हैं. काफी पुरानी रॉयल फैमिलीज, यूरोपियन रॉयल फैमिलीज भी ऐसा प्रैक्टिस किया करते थे टू मेक श्योर दैट देयर ब्लड लाइन रिमेन्ड अनडिस्टर्ब्ड. इवन टू दिस डे द पारसी कम्युनिटी इन इंडिया वो भी इसे काफी हद तक फॉलो करते हैं. ओके, इट इज लाइकली दैट there were variations in other parts of the subcontinent as well, but as yet it has not been possible to reconstruct specific details. Specific details जानने का एक ही तरीका है, वो है inscriptions, texts, scriptures, etc. Okay. Were mothers important? Another question. We have seen that Satvahana rulers were identified through metronymics. Okay, names derived from that of the mother. Okay, Satvahana rulers important. Okay, ये important information है. Although this may suggest that mothers were important, we need to be cautious before we arrive at any conclusion. In the case of Satvahanas, we know that succession to the throne was generally patrilineal, father to son, just like Kuru, Dhritarashtra, Pandu, etc. Mahabharata. Okay, that's one of them. So here we read about the Satvahana dynasty. कैसे उनके कुछ practices और customs different थे according to the Brahmanical norms laid down in the society. जो Brahmanical texts थे, as we have studied before, were quite authoritative. All right, and Sanskrit was a language which was not available or accessible to each and everyone in the subcontinent at that time. बहुत कम लोगों को संस्कृत पढ़नी आती थी, समझनी आती थी, या फिर उसमें कुछ भी इंटरप्रेट करना, राइट करना, ये सब कर पाते थे. ओके, सो मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, सोशल डिफरेंसेस विदिन एंड बियॉन्ड द फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ कास्ट. अब कास्ट की अगर हम बात करें, कास्ट एक इंग्लिश टर्म है. ऑलराइट, हमारे में जो टर्म यूज किया गया है वो वर्ण है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, if we look at the ancient text Rigved, which was written somewhere around 1500 BC, the very famous Purush Sukt, as mentioned in the उसके पहले मंडल में मेंशन है ऋग्वेद के अग्नि सूक्त के साथ भी, लेकिन पुरुष सूक्त बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज वो हमारे सोसाइटी में उस टाइम पे वर्ण व्यवस्था क्या होती थी उसको अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन करता है. वर्ण और जाति अलग होते थे. जाति, जनजाति, कुल, ये सारे डिफरेंट टर्म्स हैं. गोत्र अलग है, वंश अलग है. ऑलराइट, ये डिफरेंट टर्मिनोलॉजीज हैं जो अलग अलग चीजें रिप्रेजेंट और डिनोट करती हैं. ओके, पुरुष सूक्त में एज इट हैज बीन सेड, द ब्राह्मण वाज बोर्न फ्रॉम द माउथ ऑफ द परब्रह्म और द यूनिवर्सल और द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, द क्षत्रिय फ्रॉम द हैंड्स, द वैश्य फ्रॉम द स्टमक and the Shudra from the feet. ये ऋग्वेद में mentioned है. Alright, so apart from that, we have also looked at the way in which the society was organized, the Dharma Sutra and Dharma Shastras, वो कैसे conduct maintain करने को कहते हैं एक पूरी सोसाइटी को जो properly एक closely knitted तरीके से रहे, चाहे मैरिज सेरेमनीज हो या फिर छोटी सी छोटी पर्सनल लाइफ में जो रिचुअल्स होते हैं उन तक को सही और गलत, राइट और रॉन्ग, ब्लैक और व्हाइट में कंडक्ट करने का काम धर्मसूत्र और धर्मशास्त्र ने किया है. ओके, सो द राइट ऑक्यूपेशन is also another subtopic, but before we move there we need to understand a few things. All right, we are probably familiar with the term caste, which refers to a set of hierarchically ordered social categories. The ideal order was laid down in the Dharma Sutras and the Dharma Shastras. Brahmins claimed that this order in which they were ranked first were divinely ordained. Alright, divinely ordained. It was some sort of a divine gospel. So, this is important. Why was the word of the Brahmins considered to be supreme at that time? Because it was claimed that this order, which they were ranked first, was divinely ordained, while placing groups classified as Shudras and untouchables at the very bottom. Okay? Positions within the order were supposedly determined by birth. Alright? By birth ही होता था. ब्राह्मण का बेटा ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय का बेटा क्षत्रिय, so on and so forth चलता था. This was the order laid down in the ancient scriptures by the Brahmins. Alright? So, the right occupation, right, quote unquote. Why has the ये double inverted commas क्यों use करे गए हैं? Because what was actually right or what was considered to be right according to the scriptures, the definition, the connotation, and along with that the उसका एक तरीके से आप ये मान लीजिए एक प्रतीक क्या था वो समझना हमें जरूरी है. ऑलराइट, द धर्म सूत्रास एंड धर्म शास्त्रास also contain rules about ideal occupations, okay, of the first four categories or varnas. Okay, first four categories or varnas. Important, Brahmins were supposed to be at the top, okay, to study and teach the Vedas, perform sacrifices and get sacrifices performed, give and receive gifts. Kshatriyas were to engage in warfare, protect people and administer justice. Alright, study the Vedas, and at the same time the last three occupations were also assigned to the Vaishyas, who were in addition expected to engage in agriculture, pastoralism and trade. Shudras were assigned only one occupation, that of serving three higher varnas. Alright. So the position which was assigned to the Shudras was that of serfdom, serving the upper, so-called upper higher three classes, alright, which were Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Each of them had different work assigned to them. सबका अपना अलग अलग काम था. ये वर्ण सिस्टम है. ओके, वर्ण जिसे आज की डेट में कास्ट सिस्टम के नाम से भी जाना जाता है. The Brahmins evolved 2 or 3 strategies for enforcing these norms. अब ये जो पॉलिसी है एक तरीके से कि बुक्स में, स्क्रिप्चर्स में लिखा हुआ है, henceforth आपको फॉलो करना है. अच्छा ठीक है, हम क्यों फॉलो करें? बुक में लिखा है तो बिकॉज ये मैं नहीं कह रहा, ये एक डिवाइन ऑर्डर बोल रहा है मेरे से ऊपर. अ बिग मैन सिटिंग अप देयर इज डिक्टेटिंग दिस. ऑलराइट, सो बिकॉज दिस वाज द केस, दैट इज हाउ थ्रू रिलीजन, गॉड, supernatural powers and the powers above, that is how it was enforced and implemented, this entire system right here. Okay, so if we look at it closely, or if we want to summarize it, it was through fear. The main part was, अगर हम इसको देखें, Brahmins did not fight wars. They received gifts, performed sacrifices or got sacrifices performed, studied the Vedas, taught the Vedas, taught the scriptures, other scriptures apart from the Vedas as well, the Shastras and the Smritis, etc. So what we see here is that it was through this, because they weren't, अगर हम देखें फिजिकल पावर उतनी ब्राह्मण्स के पास उस टाइम पे देखने को कम मिली है, ज्यादा क्षत्रियों के पास थी, because they were to fight wars, protect the village, and administer justice, the entire system basically. So it was only possible to implement such a system only if fear was used as an accurate form of weapon at that time. For example, the strongest trait of the society, which were the Kshatriyas, उनके दिमाग में डर पैदा कर दिया कि अगर आपने ये हवन नहीं करवाया, ये यज्ञ नहीं करवाया, ये सब नहीं करवाया, तो आपका राजपाट खत्म हो सकता है, आप मर सकते हो, आपके ऊपर कोई और राजा कब्जा कर सकता है, so on and so forth. Because they were scared, the most powerful or the big muscle of the society was scared, they will do anything and everything that they have in control in order to protect the highest class, who get sacrifices performed or worships and rituals done. Alright? So it was through fear mainly. Okay? One, as we have just seen, was to assert that the Varna order was of divine origin. Alright? Second, they advised kings to ensure that these norms were followed within their kingdoms. All right, as I said, अब राजा भी क्यों फॉलो करेगा आपके laid down norms को? Through fear. So fear had been instilled in a very intricate manner at that point in time. Okay, so, and third, they attempted to persuade people that the status was determined by birth. Okay, however, this was not always easy. So prescriptions were often reinforced by stories told in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Okay, so if we look at Mahabharata and Ramayana, or even the Vedas in general, there's a lot of black and white. अगर आप laid down system को follow नहीं करते तो आप राक्षस हैं, आप असुर हैं, करते हैं तो आप बहुत अच्छे हैं. So that way, you know, these stories went this way. एक असुर या राक्षस वही होता है जो वेदों में नहीं मानता. मतलब अगर आप वेदों में नहीं मानते, उन्हें क्वेश्चन करते हो, then you belong to the dark side. Not only in this Hindu religion, but even in Islam as well. You do not believe in Islam, आप शैतान के साथ ही हैं, आप दज्जाल के लिए काम कर रहे हैं. You know, that's how religion works. Through fear, डर, खौफ पैदा करना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी हो जाता है. So, to justify their claims, Brahmins often recited a verse from him in the Rig Veda known as the Purush Sukta. The primeval man, all the elements of the universe, including the 4 social categories, was supposed to have emanated from his body. So, the Brahman was the mouth, of his arms was made the Kshatriya, his thighs became Vaishya, of his feet the Shudra was born. Brahmanasya mukhya manasi bahurajannakritah urutadasya yadveshwaram padbhyam shudro ajayata. So ये वर्स है ऋग्वेद का जो ऐसे एक्सप्लेन करता है. ओके, मूविंग ऑन. Proper social roles. Okay, so what do you mean by proper social roles? So here's a story of from the Adi Parvan in Mahabharata. Okay, basically ये claim करता है, once Drona, a Brahman who taught archery to Kuru princes, was approached by Eklavya, a forest dweller. Okay, belonged to the Nishad community, a hunting community, जो कि शूद्र या फिर आउटकास्ट्स, मिलेच में भी कंसिडर हो सकते थे, who live away from the Vedic civilized society. So Dronacharya here was the grandson of sage Bhardwaj. All right, one of the biggest sages of, one of the 7 sages and a highly revered one according to the Vedas. All right, Bhardwaj, being the grandson of Devguru Brihaspati, grandson of Devguru Brihaspati, and that's how the lineage was like. Okay, when Drona, who knew the dharma, the right path, dharma matlab right path, dharma does not mean ki right path hi ho. In this case, we see here dharma refers to what is prescribed as being ideal according to the 4 Vedas. Okay, mainly refused to have him as his pupil. Okay, Eklavya returned to the forest, prepared an image of Drona out of clay, and treating it as his teacher, began to practice on his own. All right, in due course, he acquired great skill in archery. One day the Kuru princes went hunting and their dog, wandering in the woods, came upon Eklavya. When the dog smelled the dark Nishad wrapped in black deer skin, his body caked with dirt, it began to bark. Annoyed, Eklavya shot 7 arrows into his mouth, When the dog returned to the Pandavas, they were amazed at this superb display of archery. They tracked down Eklavya, who introduced himself as the pupil of Drona. Alright, so we see here dark, dirty Nishad wearing deer skin. Even though आप ये double faced देखिए, जिनकी the deity that they used to worship during Vedic times was Shiva, the highest deity of them all, used to wear deer skin, but at the same time एक रियल लाइफ में किसी ने डियर स्किन पहनी तो उसे निषाद बोल दिया, उसे ऐसा बोल दिया कि वो आउटकास्ट है, दिस एंड दैट. एनीवेज, सो जब 5 पांडवास वर वॉन्डरिंग इन द फॉरेस्ट, देयर डॉग वेंट, उनका कुत्ता चला गया. जैसे ही वो कुत्ता जंगल में एकलव्य के पास गया तो एकलव्य, क्योंकि उसको सेज द्रोणाचार्य ने रिजेक्ट कर दिया था कि वो उसको अपना स्टूडेंट नहीं बनाएंगे, तब एकलव्य ने अपने हाथों से मिट्टी का उनका एक स्टैचू बना और उसके आगे प्रैक्टिस करने लगा. नाउ एज द डॉग स्टार्टेड बार्किंग लुकिंग एट एकलव्य, तो एकलव्य ने उसका मुंह बंद करने के लिए 7 एरोज शूट करे और वो ऐसे लगे कि कुत्ते को इंजरी भी नहीं हुई और उसका मुंह भी बंद हो गया. सो एज द डॉग वेंट बैक टू his owners, all of the brothers were actually quite impressed after looking at this superb display of archery. Okay, Drona had once told his favorite student Arjun that he would be unrivaled amongst his pupils. Arjun now reminded Drona about this. Okay, Drona approached Eklavya, who immediately acknowledged and honored him as his teacher. When Drona demanded his right thumb as his fee, Eklavya unhesitatingly cut it off and offered it. But thereafter, when he shot with his remaining fingers, he was no longer as fast as he had been before. Thus, Drona kept his word. No one was better than Arjun. All right. So ये जो टेल है एकलव्य की कि उसका अंगूठा मांग लिया था just because अर्जुन को प्रॉमिस किया था that he would be the best archer, unrivaled of his time, and एकलव्य उससे बेटर था. Okay. Now what we notice here is कि जो किंग का रोल था सिर्फ और सिर्फ क्षत्रिय कुल से जो आते थे या क्षत्रिय वर्ण से आते थे उन्हीं के लिए रिजर्व था. As mentioned according to the Vedas and the scriptures, that it was the Kshatriyas who had been responsible for the protection of the land, administering justice and fighting wars. Okay, so we also see a few mentions of non-Kshatriya kings. So here we will read about them. According to the Shastras, only Kshatriyas could be kings. Okay, however, several important ruling lineages probably had different origins. The social background of the Mauryas, who ruled over a large empire, has been hotly debated. कि जो वर्ण था मौर्यस का वो क्या था, what caste did they come from? While later Buddhist texts suggest they were Kshatriyas, Brahmanical texts describe them of being as of low origin. Okay, important about non-Kshatriya kings. यहाँ पे थोड़ा बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट और ब्राह्मणिकल टेक्स्ट, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू किंगडम्स लाइक द मौर्यन एम्पायर, उनके बारे में जब डिस्कशन होता है तो ये देखने को मिलता है. द शुंगास एंड कन्वास, the immediate successors of the Mauryas, were Brahmins. Okay, so here we notice that Brahmins themselves, the social group which was supposedly responsible for upholding the gospel truth as mentioned in the scriptures, were now bending and breaking the rules of the same, because The Shungas and the Kanvas became rulers, and according to the texts, what were Brahmins supposed to do? Perform sacrifices, rituals, receive gifts, etc. Alright? In fact, political power was effectively open to anyone who could enter, who could muster support and resources, and rarely dependent on birth as a Kshatriya. Dheere dheere, as the Shunga dynasty. Okay? Right now, I'm going to mention Shunga and Kanva dynasty. इसके बाद जो ये एक हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल था ऑफ अ क्षत्रिय basically being a king, and it was necessary to be a kshatriya in order to be a king, that was no longer there, and power was more or less open for everyone who could take it. Other rulers such as the Shakas, who came from Central Asia, were regarded as mlechas, foreigners. लेकिन ये जो टर्म था एक फॉरेनर के लिए एक रिस्पेक्टफुल टर्म नहीं था, थोड़ा डेरोगेटरी टर्म था ये. ऑलराइट. शाकास, शाकाहारी, जैसा हम आज की डेट में सुनते हैं ये टर्म. शाका डायनेस्टी जब आई थी तो उसके बाद शक संवत भी कैलेंडर आया था. हमारा जो हिंदू कैलेंडर होता है कली संवत, शक संवत एंड विक्रम संवत. ऑलराइट. सो दिस इज the way in which kingdoms and kings were now acting up after the Mauryan Empire. Basically, the power was open for everyone, not only just Kshatriyas. So, जब हम शाकास के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, they were known as mlechas or barbarians or outsiders by the Brahmins. Alright? विदेश का, बाहर का माना जाता था उनको. Okay, and used a derogatory term. उतना अच्छा term नहीं है mlech बोलना. However, one of the earliest inscriptions in Sanskrit describes how Rudraman, the best known Shaka ruler from 2nd century Common Era, rebuilt Sudarshan Lake. Okay, this suggests that powerful mlechas were familiar with Sanskritic traditions. Okay, so here we see सुदर्शन लेक को दोबारा बनवाने वाले शाका रूलर ही थे. मतलब कि they must have been mlechas or outsiders from the subcontinent or the mainland part of the country, but at the same time they were familiar with Vedic practices, rituals, and that's why an important lake was rebuilt. It is also interesting that the best known ruler of the Satvahana dynasty, Gautamiputra Sri Satkani, claimed to be both a Brahman, both a unique Brahman, Eka Brahman, and a destroyer of the pride of the Kshatriyas. Alright. He also claimed to have ensured that there was no intermarriage amongst members of the Varnas. At the same time, he entered into a marriage alliance with the kin of Rudraman. Alright, so Satvahana ruler, who do we talk about? Gautamiputra Sri Satkani. Sri Satkani, the king. उसने इंटरकास्ट मैरिजेस भी बंद करवा दी थी. वो अपने आप को एज अ ब्राह्मण कंसिडर करता था, एंड ही यूज्ड टू कॉल और denote himself as the destroyer of the pride of the Kshatriyas. And even after intercaste marriages were not encouraged under his rule, he himself was married to the family or the kin of Rudraman, a Mlech. Okay? As you can see from this example, integration within the framework of caste was often a complicated process. The Satvahanas claimed to be Brahmins, whereas according to the Brahmins, kings ought to have been Kshatriyas. They claimed to uphold the fourfold Varna order, but entered into marriage alliances with people who were supposed to be excluded from the system, mlechas, or barbarians or outsiders. Okay, and as we have seen, they practiced endogamy instead of the exogamous system recommended in the Brahmanical scriptures or texts. Okay, तो यहाँ पे 2-3 डिफरेंसेस हमें देखने को मिलते हैं. पहला ये कि जो सतवाहना किंग है श्री सतकर्णी, especially during his rule, he considered himself to be an upholder of the Varna system, stopped intercaste marriages, wanted to destroy the pride of the Kshatriyas. But the Brahmanical texts clearly mention कि ब्राह्मण तो power hold कर ही नहीं सकते. That's not allowed. First thing. Second thing ये था कि he himself entered into marriage alliances who were undesirable according to the Brahmanical texts. The barbarians, such as that of Shaka ruler Rudraman, उनकी family में marriage हुई थी. Okay? So, up until now, we have also बहुत इसमें important question आता है, how did Brahmins ensure that the Varna order was kept where it was supposed to be? Firstly, divine order. Secondly, tell the kings. Thirdly, as mentioned there, कि जैसे जैसे किंग्स इसको अपहोल्ड करेंगे इसको एक धार्मिक टाइटल दिया जाएगा. All right. So, and as the exogamous system recommended in the Brahmanical texts. Now, the Satvahana dynasty also practiced endogamy. That means marrying within the household. तो इनके किंगडम में बहुत इंस्टेंसेस ऐसे भी हुए थे जब कजन्स के साथ मैरिजेस होती थी. ऑलराइट. जातीज एंड सोशल मोबिलिटी, वर्ण और जाति में क्या डिफरेंस है हमें यहां समझ में आएगा. These complexities are reflected in another term used in texts to refer different social categories. Jati. In Brahmanical theory, jati like varna was based on birth. दोनों birth पे based होते हैं. However, while the number of varnas was fixed at 4, there was no restriction on the number of jatis. In fact, whenever Brahmanical authorities encountered new groups, for instance, people living in forests such as the Nishadas, or wanted to assign a name to the occupational categories such as the goldsmith or swarnkar, okay, which did not easily fit into the fourfold varna system, they classified them as a jati. Basically, jati different parts, different तरीके की हो सकती हैं. वर्ण सिर्फ 4 हैं: ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य and shudra. If any social group fell beyond these 4 categories, they were termed as a jati, because jati in itself did not have any particular restriction to the maximum or minimum number there should be to it. Okay, तो जाति बहुत सारी हो सकती थी. Okay, so jatis which shared a common occupation, a profession, were sometimes organized into shrenis or guilds. Okay, shrenis or guilds. Okay, we seldom come across documents that record the histories of these groups, but there are exceptions. One interesting stone inscription somewhere around the 5th century found in Mandsaur, Madhya Pradesh, records the history of a guild of silk weavers who originally lived in Lata, Gujarat. जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, मंदसौर मध्य प्रदेश ये वो जगह है जहां पे अकॉर्डिंग टू द रामायण जो रावण थे, लंकापति रावण, उनकी वाइफ मंदोदरी was from Mandsaur. Okay, so we talk about guilds, different jatis like the Swarnkars and also sometimes Lohars, जो शूद्र भी नहीं है क्षत्रिय भी नहीं है एंड वैश्य भी नहीं है. ओके, migrated to Mandsaur, then known as Dashapur. Okay, before we move there, we'll have a look at the case of merchants. ये क्या था? Sanskrit texts and inscriptions used the term vanik to designate merchants. Vanik. All right. While trade was defined as an occupation for Vaishyas in the Shastras, a more complex situation is evident in plays such as the Mahabharata, written by Shudrak somewhere around the 4th century. Here the hero Charudat was described as both a Brahman and a Satvahana or merchant. And a 5th century inscription describes two brothers who made a donation for the construction of a temple as Kshatriya Vaniks. Okay, so this complicated text, because ye jo into plays such as the Mrichkatik, my bad, it was not Mahabharat, Mrichkatik की बात हो रही थी. Okay, not Mahabharat, Mrichkatik, उसकी बात है. Okay, so you must also understand and remember this कि जो वर्ण और जाति का सिस्टम था वो इंटरटैंगल होने लग गया था कि डिफरेंट कास्ट्स भी थे, उनको किस सोशल ग्रुप में डाला जाए. Okay, it states that they undertook the difficult journey along with the children and kinfolk, as they had heard about the greatness of the local king and wanted to settle in his kingdom. The inscription provides a fascinating glimpse of complex social processes and provides insight into the nature of guilds or shrenis. Guild or shreni, an organized group of community जो कि एक common या similar काम करते हों. Alright? Although membership was based on a shared craft specialization, some members adopted other occupations. Okay, it also indicates that the members shared more than a common profession. They collectively decided to invest their wealth. Okay, invest their wealth earned through their craft to construct a splendid temple in honor of the sun god. Okay, guilds or shrenis, crafts and their organizations. Craft persons, okay, artisans, etc. What the silk weavers did? Here is an excerpt from the inscription which is in Sanskrit. Important है, silk weavers क्या करते थे? Guilds और shrenis का जो राइज देखने को मिल रहा है वो क्या था? Okay. Some are intensely attached to music, so pleasing to the ear. Others, being proud of the authorship of 100 excellent biographies, are conversant with wonderful tales. Others, filled with humility, are absorbed in excellent religious discourses. Some excel in their own religious rites, likewise by others who were self-possessed. The science of Vedic astronomy was mastered, and others, very valorous in battle even today, forcibly cause harm to the enemies. So, जो इंस्क्रिप्शन है जिसमें अलग अलग सोशल कैटेगरीज का एक कर्म बताया गया है, दैट हाउ दे फंक्शनड एंड हाउ दे वर्कड विदिन देयर strata, that is mentioned here in this Sanskrit inscription. ठीक है, beyond the four varnas, integration. Okay, given the diversity of the subcontinent, there were and always have been populations whose social practices were not influenced by Brahmanical ideas. When they figure out in Sanskrit texts, they are often described as odd, uncivilized, or even animal-like. In some instances, these included forest dwellers for whom hunting and gathering remained an important means of subsistence. Okay, categories such as the Nishada, to which Eklavya is supposed to have belonged, are examples of this. Okay, others who have viewed with suspicion included populations such as nomadic pastoralists who could not be easily accommodated within the framework of settled agriculturists. Sometimes those who spoke non-Sanskritic languages were also labeled as mlechas and were looked down upon. Okay, तो यहाँ पे एकलव्य जैसी जगह कम्युनिटीज की बात आती है. कुछ ऐसी कम्युनिटीज थी जिनका बिहेवियरल पैटर्न, उनका रहन सहन, उनकी डेली लाइफ, द वे दे कंडक्टेड देमसेल्व्स, देयर रिचुअल्स, देयर रिलीजियस बिलीव्स, practices did not match with the Brahmanical way, so they were considered or they were categorized into different जातिज. ऑलराइट, वर्ण तो में वो कंसिडर नहीं हो सकते थे, लेकिन जाति होती थी. जैसे कि हम फॉरेस्ट ड्वेलिंग निषाद कम्युनिटी को देखते हैं जिससे एकलव्य बिलोंग करता था. उसको म्लेच्छ माना जाता था, यानी कि आउटकास्ट, जिनका बोलने का तरीका नॉन संस्कृत है, लैंग्वेज नॉन संस्कृत है, बिलीफ सिस्टम अलग है, पहनने ओढ़ने का तरीका अलग है, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. ओके, there was nonetheless also a sharing of ideas and beliefs between these people. The nature of relations is evident in the stories of Mahabharata. Okay? अब ये जो स्टोरीज हैं कि कैसे वर्ण और जाति हुआ करती थी, ये भी यहां पे हमें देखने को मिलता है. Okay. This is a summary of a story from the Adi Parvan of Mahabharata. Okay. The Pandavas had fled into the forest. They were invited, they were tired and fell asleep. Only Bhim, the second Pandava, renowned for his prowess, was keeping watch. A man-eating Rakshas caught the scent of the Pandavas and sent his sister Hidimba to capture them. She fell in love with Bhim, transformed herself into a lovely maiden and proposed to him. He refused. Meanwhile, the Rakshas arrived and challenged Bhim to a wrestling match. Bhim accepted the challenge and killed him. The others woke up hearing the noise. Hidimba introduced herself and declared her love for Bhim. She told Kunti, I have forsaken my friends and my dharma and my kin, and good lady, chosen your tiger-like son for my man. Whether you think me a fool or your devoted servant, let me join you, great lady, with your son as my husband. Okay? Ultimately, Yudhishthir agreed to the marriage on one condition, that they would spend the day together, but that Bhim would return every night. The couple roamed all over the world during the day. In due course, Hidimba gave birth to a Rakshas boy named Ghatotkacha. Then the mother and son left the Pandavas. Ghatotkacha promised to return to the Pandavas whenever they needed him. Okay, some historians suggest that the term Rakshas is used to describe people whose practices differed from those laid down in Brahmanical texts. थ्योरी है कि हो सकता है राक्षस या असुर. असुर तो क्लियरली एक टर्म था जो वेदों में बहुत ज्यादा यूज किया गया है. सुर, असुर. असुर इज मोर लाइक अ कैटेगराइजेशन और अ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ अ पर्सन जो वेदों में और ब्राह्मणों में नहीं बिलीव करता था. In many instances, Indra, the Supreme Lord himself, is mentioned as an asur just because he did not obey or sometimes he drifted away from the Vedic path. Okay? So, beyond the four varnas, subordination and conflict. हर कोई इसमें सबॉर्डिनेट या फिर एक सबजुगेट नहीं होता था, तो उसमें कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आते थे. एंड व्हाट वर दीज कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स लाइक ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम? Excuse me. While the Brahmins considered some people as being outside the system, they also developed a sharper social divide by classifying certain social categories as untouchable. Okay? This rested on a notion that certain activities, especially those connected with the performance of rituals, were sacred and by extension pure. कुछ रिचुअल्स बहुत ज्यादा प्योर थे, जिसमें कि म्लेच्छ, राक्षस, अनटचेबल, शूद्र, दूसरी छोटी जातियां पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर सकती थी. ऑलराइट, अपार्ट फ्रॉम द अपर क्लास विच वाज ब्राह्मण्स, क्षत्रियस एंड वैश्यस. Okay, those who considered themselves pure avoided taking food from those they designated as untouchable. Mlechas were untouchable. तभी एकलव्य भी एक untouchable category से belong करता था, because historically he belonged to the Mlecha community, which did not speak the Sanskrit language. The rituals were different from Brahmanical texts or as prescribed in them, and their way of living, their lifestyle was different as prescribed in the Shastras or the Dharma Sutras, etc. Okay, so untouchable लोगों से food लेना भी मना था. In sharp contrast to the purity aspect, some activities were regarded as particularly polluting. These included handling corpses and dead animals. Those who performed such tasks, designated as Chandals. Chandal उसे कहा जाता था जो लाशें उठाता था जानवरों की या इंसानों की. Were placed at the very bottom of the hierarchy. Their touch, and in some cases even seeing them, was regarded as polluting by those who claimed to be at top of the social order. मतलब discrimination इतना highest peak पे था और rampant था that forget about touching them or borrowing foods or grains or anything of that sort from them, even looking at them directly would mean that it was polluting. Alright? The Manusmriti laid down the duties of the Chandals. अब चंडालों का काम क्या था वो मनुस्मृति में मेंशन है. यहां पे जो लिखा हुआ है, they had to live outside the village. पहली चीज, use discarded utensils and wear clothes of the dead and ornaments of iron. अब यहां पे हम देखते हैं इंपॉर्टेंट चीज कि इनकी ड्यूटीज क्या थी. पहली बात, ये विलेज के बाहर रहते थे, इन्हें बाहर रहना पड़ता था. किसी और के डिस्कार्डेड यूटेंसिल्स ही यूज कर सकते थे. खुद के साफ बर्तन नहीं, किसी ने फेंक के दान कर दिए तो वही यूज कर सकते थे. और शरीर पे कपड़ा वो ही कपड़ा डाल सकते थे जो डेड बॉडी को पहनाया जाता था. ऑलराइट, क्लोथ्स ऑफ द डेड. दे कुड नॉट वॉक अबाउट इन विलेजेस एंड सिटीज एट नाइट. रात को ये भ्रमण नहीं कर सकते थे. दे कुडंट रोम अराउंड एनीवेयर. They had to dispose of the bodies of those who had no relative and serve as executioners. Okay? So basically जिस इंसान का कोई भी नहीं था, अकेला जो बंदा चला गया, उसके कोई फैमिली मेंबर्स नहीं है फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो उनके लास्ट राइट्स भी चंडाल ही करवाते थे. यहाँ तक कि एग्जीक्यूशनर्स, यानी कि जिसे जल्लाद कहा जाता है, जो फांसी की सजा में फांसी एग्जीक्यूट करता है, the one who pulls the rope, that kind of a job was done by Chandals. Okay? Much later, the Chinese Buddhist monk Fa Xian in the 5th century wrote that untouchables had to sound a clapper in the streets so that people could avoid seeing them. Another Chinese pilgrim, Xuanzang, in the 7th century, observed that executioners and scavengers, were forced to live outside the city. Clapper. Chinese Buddhist monk Faxian 5th सेंचुरी में जब वो आए थे, उन्होंने मेंशन किया है कि जब भी अनटचेबल्स या फिर आउटकास्ट उन्हें सड़क पे चलना होता था तो उन्हें क्लैप करना होता था ताकि वो लोगों को नोटिफाई कर पाए कि वो आ रहे हैं, उनसे दूर हो जाएं और उन्हें कोई देखे भी नहीं, ताकि लोग सतर्क हो जाएं. दिस इज व्हाट दे हैड टू डू. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, जो एग्जीक्यूशनर्स थे, स्कैवेंजर्स थे, दे वर फोर्स्ड टू लिव आउटसाइड द विलेज. मतलब विलेज के अंदर सिविलाइजेशन में नहीं, सिविलाइजेशन से बाहर रहना होता था. ओके. By examining Brahmanical texts, we depict the lives of Chandals. Historians have tried to find out whether Chandals accepted the life of degradation prescribed in the Shastras. क्या उनको ये acceptable था कि उनकी इतनी disrespect हो रही है? How is that possible? That question triggered scientists कि कोई तो बगावत, कोई तो mutiny, something of that sort, some mental conflict, a silent protest must have been there. So, occasionally, there are hints of different social realities. Okay. Story of Bodhisattva from the Matang Jataka. Jataka tales, पंचतंत्र की तरह बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट्स में एज अ मॉरल स्टोरी यूज करी जाती है टू एक्सप्लेन द कॉम्प्लेक्स रियलिटीज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. अद्वैत वेदांत जैसे वेदों में एक सरल तरीके से समझाने का तरीका है, वेदांत है, उपनिषद है. सिमिलरली यू कैन कंसिडर. ओके. डिड चंडाल्स रेजिस्ट द अटेम्प्ट्स to push them to the bottom of the social order? Did they? Read this story, which is a part of the Matang Jataka, in a Pali text where Bodhisattva, the Buddha, in previous birth is identified as a Chandal. Okay. So इस text में Bodhisattva, the Buddha in previous birth, Bodhisattva, बुद्धा जो उनका birth था उससे पिछले जन्म में जो वो थे उसके बारे में. So, once Bodhisattva was born outside the city of Banaras as a Chandal's son and named Matanga. One day he had gone to the city on some work. He encountered Dittha Manglika, okay, the daughter of a merchant. Vaishya ki daughter, merchant ki daughter. When she saw him, she exclaimed, "I have seen something inauspicious," and washed her eyes. The angry hangers on then beat him up. In protest, he went and laid down at the door of her father's house. On the 7th day, they brought out the girl and gave her to him. She carried the starving Matanga back to the Chandal settlement. Once he returned home, he decided to renounce the world. After attaining spiritual powers, he returned to Banaras and married her. A son named Mandavya Kumar was born to them. Okay, he learned the 3 Vedas as he grew up and began to provide food to 16,000 Brahmins every day. Okay? One day, Matanga, dressed in rags with a clay alms bowl in his hand, arrived at his son's doorstep and begged for food. Mandavya replied that he looked like an outcast and was unworthy of alms. The food was meant for the Brahmins. Matanga said, "Those who are proud of their birth and are ignorant do not deserve gifts. On the contrary, those who are free from vices are worthy of offerings. Mandavya lost his temper and asked his servants to throw the man out. Matanga rose in the air and disappeared. When Dittha Manglik learnt about this incident, she followed Matanga and begged for his forgiveness. She followed Matanga, and the leftover from his bowl, he asked her to take a bit of the leftover from his bowl and give it to Mandavya and the Brahmins. तो ये जटाका टेल्स का एक किस्सा है. इसमें चांडाल्स के बारे में बताया है, जो चांडाल कम्युनिटी थी. What was it that they were enduring? Even though Bodhisattva, being born as Matanga with Dittha Manglik, जिनसे उनकी शादी हुई थी, उसके बाद जो बर्थ हुआ था मंदव्य कुमार का, जो बहुत ज्यादा ब्राह्मणों को सर्व करता था, his own son refused to give him alms just because he was not a Brahman, just because he was a Chandal. So he rose up and he vanished in thin air. थोड़ा miracle दिखाया, and that's when Dittha Manglik, the mother of Mandavya Kumar, actually sought forgiveness from Matanga, and that's where the story ends. And Matanga, before vanishing, clearly states कि ये जो arms हैं मेरे बोल में से, ये ब्राह्मण्स को और मंदव्य कुमार को दे देना. So this social difference, as we see here, usually this kind of like a silent protest or resistance to the Brahmanical lifestyle was very rare. The Buddhist texts are like post the Brahmanical rise. Before this जो period रहा है, उसमें जो Brahmanical dominance रही है, through various factors, as we have seen, through various scriptures and tales, the control and its establishment, especially to the most powerful section of the society at that time, which were the kings, the ruling class, the ones who looked after the administrative systems, it was very powerful. That influence in itself, because it was driven by fear, as mentioned here. तो यहाँ पे जब हम देखते हैं कि previous birth, next birth is also something that was also believed to be true at that time. The pollution, when the so-called pollution from the contact with the Mlechas, the Shudras, or the outcasts was not considered desirable. The other outside jatis, basically Mlech ho gaye, ya fir those who did not conform to the Brahmanical way or the lifestyle, it was considered pretty impure, and resistance to it was pretty rare, as seen over here. However, the Brahmins themselves sometimes shifted the texts and what was prescribed in them when it came to ruling and conducting, or even taking forward a lineage of rulers like the Kanvas and Shungas. So this was the second part of the third chapter, Kinship, Caste and Class. We will be studying this chapter further in detail in the upcoming parts that are yet to come. Thank you, Team Educate.